call this February 24th, 2026 City Commission meeting to order. Will you join me in the flag salute?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could I have Reverend Tom Werman, St. John Lutheran Church, come lead us in a prayer?
Thank you. Let us pray. Living God, our Creator, you are above all and through all and in all. We give you thanks for the blessings of this day and for the ways that you have gifted our community with its beauty and its resources. And we thank you, too, for the blessing of each other. We ask now that you would grace our civic leaders and all who participate in this meeting with your spirit of wisdom, humility, courage, compassion, and peace, that they may promote the common welfare and hear the voices of all who reside in our community. Guide them in all of their decisions, that they may serve as faithful models of leadership. For to you belongs glory and dominion, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you.
Why are some of these showing a red thing as being on, off?
This is the only one. Jeff, are the mics on?
Yeah, they should be, yes.
Well, we got one red.
That one's malfunctioning, it's still on.
Okay.
The light just won't turn off.
Okay.
All right.
Jeff.
I'm going to open it to public input. Is there anyone that would like to speak in public input? If so, come forward, state your name and address.
I am Bert Patrick. I reside at 303 Webster. I am here this evening to inquire about whether the city of Pittsburgh or the police department has an official policy with regard to its relationship with ICE. And I would like to know whether the city has a written official policy, and if so, how the public can access that information, and if not, when that information will be made available to the public. So I would ask for either you, Mr. City Manager, or you, City Attorney, or you, members of our commission.
Has there been an incident with ICE?
Pardon me?
Has there been an incident with ICE?
I don't know. I just think that we, the public, would like to know, I as a citizen of Pittsburgh, for one, and others that I've discussed this issue with, would like to know what is the policy of City of Pittsburgh or the city police here. What is the relationship with ICE in case ICE officers should come to Pittsburgh?
Bert, we don't currently, to my knowledge, we do not have a formal policy regarding ICE. I'm looking at the police department, and nobody's running up here to save me. But here comes the deputy chief right now.
Okay.
Ben Henderson. Thanks, Ben.
Like you said, City Manager, we don't have an actual policy regarding specific agencies, but we have a mutual aid understanding that if another law enforcement agency asks for our help in a criminal enforcement matter, we will help them, just as we would ask for them in turn if we went to their jurisdiction to do some type of criminal law enforcement action, that they would help us.
And ICE is a federal sanctioned agency in the
Yes.
United States.
I read an article in yesterday's New York Times. It was about a former ICE lawyer who had resigned because, specifically, at the present time, ICE officers have a policy of entering homes without a warrant. And that is concerning to me. That is one of the basic constitutional rights that we have as citizens to feel safe in our homes. I'd just like to ask you, as a Pittsburgh City policeman, do you have the right?
No, we do not have a right to enter your home without your consent. without an emergency or without a search warrant.
So I would ask you all to consider, why is it possible that Pittsburgh police officers will not enter our homes without a warrant, which I assume is issued by a judge,
That's correct.
for a cause? Because there is some reason why the police need to enter that home. And yet ICE officers do not have that limitation. In other words, you and I are all vulnerable to ICE officers entering our homes without a warrant.
Bert, is this,
That concerns me deeply because that is a violation of our constitutional rights and protections.
Bert,
If you are not concerned about that, I would ask you why you are not concerned about that.
Bert, can I ask you a
Because that is
question?
a protection.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
You read an article that stated this.
that's right.
Do you know that's factual happens?
That is the information according to that
Article.
ICE officer who resigned out of concern over that very issue as well as others. And that is a reduction by 60% in
So-
terms of the training that ICE
Sir,
trainees
sir,
were
I would
getting.
suggest if you have a question about federal law enforcement, you need to contact that federal agency or contact the U.S. Attorney's Office for the state of Kansas and ask them for clarification on that, because they will be able to tell you for sure if a federal law enforcement agency can in fact enter your home without a warrant and under what circumstances they can. Now, like us, again, we have to have a warrant, your consent, or an emergency. I can't speak for a federal law enforcement agency, but if you want to contact, like, again, the United States Attorney's Office for Kansas and ask them about your concerns, let them kind of guide you more like along the lines of what federal law enforcement agencies can and cannot do.
And Bert, thanks for, it's obviously your prerogative if you want to come in here and share your thoughts on it, but to ask everybody else their thoughts isn't probably appropriate because it's America and everybody gets, their little thoughts. So I don't think you're going to get the feedback you're probably looking for from the audience or the commissioners or myself today, but you coming in here and making your statement, I appreciate it, and we heard you loud and clear.
Okay. I would like to ask the city and the police department to provide us with assurances that we are safe in our homes and will not be victims of that anti-constitutional behavior that is happening. We have seen it happen in Minneapolis.
Well, I think Ben just explained that to you. The police is not going to go into your home.
That is the police, yes.
Well, we can't control, you had an article, I don't know if that's factual, that actually happens. Like Ben said, the best thing to find out the answer is to call the people he told you to answer to your question, what ICE may or may not do when they come to our town. I had just, it's been about a year ago. Somebody had a picture of a car with a badge on it, and they said ICE was in town. I had somebody call me about this. I said, I have no knowledge of ICE. I don't know if they would inform us if they're in town or not. But the vehicle, not seeing the badge, it looked like it was like a 90s model Dodge Charger Challenger. And I'm thinking, maybe ICE might have a little newer vehicle. Well, on my bus route, I went by this vehicle that was parked on the side of the road. The person that called me, I opened the door and took a picture of it, what the badge said. They said it was ICE, and they knew it was ICE. The badge said Arcadia Police Department. So, whether ICE is here or not, I don't know, but they weren't here that day. It was Arcadia Police Department. Somebody bought probably a car that wasn't used anymore, and so that's all I can say on that.
Well, if you're questioning me about the reliability of the information, I'll be glad to share the article with you. This gentleman
Yeah.
appeared before a congressional committee
Okay, I will,
yesterday.
yes, email it to me, but like I said, find out what Ben told you. Call somebody that knows that the state or the federal government.
I'd like to get that information
You have
from you.
phone numbers, right?
Yes.
Tell me back here.
Sure.
Anybody else would like to come up and speak? State your name and address.
Byron Lopez, 718 East Jackson Street. I was asked to come today and talk about soccer here in Pittsburgh. I know this is an issue that's been brought up a few times now, so I kind of wanted to give my personal experience with it. I am a Pitt State student right now in sport management, and I will be graduating in May. I have played soccer my whole life, love it. Played it in high school and started coaching in high school the last 3 years. There's a lot of stuff that I've noticed here while being in Pittsburgh with soccer, and one is that there's very little to no support of the sport. You know, it's overtaken by a lot of other sports, which I understand. You know, there's football and basketball and other sports that are much bigger, especially here in the United States overall, but here in Pittsburgh too. But it's growing, and I don't think people don't realize that. You know, we have a tournament coming up this summer, and it's a huge deal. You're going to have teams from all over the world competing here in the United States 2.5 hours away from here, from Pittsburgh. That's a huge deal, and I don't think people are noticing it as much as they should. One of the things that's been brought up to my attention as a coach is facilities. There's not facilities for these young kids to participate in. I also coached in the youth program not too long ago. We struggled to find a facility. You know, we had the YMCA help us a little bit, but we weren't funded publicly, right? It was just a private organization. So we had to come out of our own pockets that money to actually participate for these kids, right? And as a college kid myself, I didn't have a lot of money, and the money I did have was going to these kids, right? And I didn't mind doing that, but it would have been easier if we had a facility that didn't charge as much and let us use it for free. You know, as a student myself from Pittsburgh, from Colgan, I played for Pittsburgh, and there's a few of my teammates, and even as I started coaching, a few of the kids that I coached who their only reason they wanted to go to college was to play soccer, you know. And unfortunately at Pitt State we don't have a men's program. We're lucky to have a women's program. It's growing and it's awesome. But that fact that we don't have a men's program here, it steered kids away from college. And I really do believe if we had a men's program here for the sport, I think I think you would see a growth in, you know, kids going to college, especially here, hometown kids going to college. It's a big deal to be able to play for something much bigger than a high school team, right? I didn't get the privilege of playing in collegiate soccer either for the same reason. It was just too expensive. The closest one was Coffeyville, but in reality, it was a really bad school. Program was great, school was bad. And so I know a lot of these kids deal with the same thing that I dealt with as a student. There's just no opportunity for soccer growth here in Pittsburgh. And so that's all I have.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak at public input? State your name and address.
Ralph McGeorge, 2301 North Rouse, Pittsburgh, Kansas. I've been here 2 other times. What I'd like to do is find out if anything's going to be done about the Pittsburgh North Water Tower. I'd like to see Pittsburgh High School logo on that, and also Cogan's Panthers on there. And I know that it was in 2022 last time that tower was painted, and before that was 2003. That's like 19 years service, and that's good. But all they'd have to pay for now would be just the logo. And from what I understand, that'd be around about $10,000 what was put on the South Tower for PSU. And I think if the city would donate a little, and maybe the school board donate a little, and then we could get the rest through donations. And I think we could do it if there was an awareness of that going on. And I think I've not seen anything in the paper whatsoever, and I think it ought to be in there. I think it's important. I've talked to a lot of students that's graduated there. I've been told it's a good idea, and I think that I'd like to have your response, what you guys think about that.
Well, have you talked to USD 250 or Kogan?
I'm going to next month on the first meeting.
And you know, the Pitt State on the South Water Tower, that money was paid by Pitt State.
Well, it's paid for Pitt State and donations.
Okay,
And I'm just asking for a little bit of help from the city and USD 250, not much, but just enough, maybe we could get enough attention that we could get the donations to raise that 10,000.
Well,
That's about
I-
approximately what it would cost.
I got a meeting tomorrow and JB Elliott will be there, and I'll run that past him, what his thoughts are.
I
and I'll let you
appreciate
know.
that very much. And my second thing I got is, I haven't seen or heard anything from the, about the printing of the pay scale and everything to put published in the paper, or I'd rather see it put in with the water bill so everybody could get it. And that would be, I think, we used to do that before, I remember seeing them before, and I think the public would like to see that. And I'd like to have, what you guys think about that?
Do you want, do you want each individual employee's pay, or do you want the pay scales
Salary and pay. We used to print the whole thing.
of each individual employee?
I mean, you don't have to have the name, just department heads and departments and how many people they have and what the average pay is per hour on them. And that, you don't have to have the name on there. But on the salary people, I think you should have the names on there.
And you say that was done in the past on the water bill?
Yes. No, not on the water bill. It's
Okay.
printed in the paper.
Okay.
But the circulation of the paper is not that great. And I think it'd be better if it was put out with the water bill.
Well, I don't, I would encourage you to talk to the newspaper about having that printed. You can always get that information because it's open records of what everyone makes
I
and what
understand
department
that.
they're in. But that would be something in the paper, you probably need to talk about that to the newspaper.
Yeah, I know you don't argue with the people that buy their ink by the barrel, but you do want to get something done. I've been up here twice before and seen anything, so there must not be much interest in it for the paper. And I'd like to see somebody talk to the paper, and you guys talk to them quite a bit, and I'd like to see if you can get that done. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak in public input? State your name and address.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Matt Burton. I live at 3838 East Linwood Terrace in Springfield, Missouri. Appreciate being able to be here this evening. I wanted to share a few observations and comments, particularly in relation to the city staff. I'm not currently a resident of Pittsburgh, but I've been working here for the better part of the last 10 years on a number of different projects. Those projects have involved the renovation and construction of more than 225,000 square feet of space across multiple buildings for a total cost of more than $80 million. And it's as the developer for those projects that people in the community see me presenting to you, giving tours, making presentations about architectural plans or interior finishes, or managing the myriad other construction-related details that go with projects like that. What most people don't see, and what might be my most important job, is the work that I do outside of Pittsburgh, acting as an advocate for Pittsburgh and a fundraiser for Pittsburgh. We have an incredibly entrepreneurial and generous community, along with, I would argue, oftentimes a very visionary city commission that is willing to invest in creating a better future for the generations that will follow us. It's been a defining characteristic of Pittsburgh since this town was founded more than 150 years ago. We also have the benefit of a strong town-gown relationship with a university that is willing to align their needs with those of the community for maximum shared benefit. Both of those facts have been essential to the success of projects like Block 22, the Best Hotel, the New Kells College of Business, the Washington School, but they wouldn't have been enough on their own. Of that more than $80 million represented by those projects that has and is being invested in this community, more than $50 million of it has come from outside of Pittsburgh. It's money that has come to this community that without those projects wouldn't have been invested here. And as the person responsible for securing those funds, I can tell you that it's not easy. There is very limited, finite amount of these dollars available, and they're almost never invested in projects of this magnitude in a small rural community like Pittsburgh. These funders usually greet my outreach to them with a high degree of initial skepticism. Despite how good of an advocate or a salesperson I might think I am, that's usually not enough. And what it almost always comes down to are these institutions wanting to dig deeper into the city. Do they have a plan? Do these projects align with that plan? Do they have a competent staff? Do they have processes and procedures for managing the oversight of these projects? Are they serious about their commitments? And that questioning usually always leads then to a meeting with Darren and oftentimes Jay and others at the city. And in every case, then that meeting usually leads to an affirmative funding decision. I can tell you without question that despite my best efforts, without the leadership of that staff, those funds would not have been invested in this community. So as I reflect on that, and I think, wow, pretty good job, Matt. Those are a lot of projects. There's still so much more that's been done over the last 10, 15 years. There's additional downtown development, new businesses, industrial park development, housing, better roads, airport improvements, wastewater treatment facility, better recreation, educational initiatives, et cetera, literally dozens and dozens of equally important initiatives that have improved the quality of life for people in Pittsburgh. And just as with the projects that I've been involved with, from everything I've seen, the city leadership has been just as essential to the success of these projects. Now, over the years, I've received calls from people in several other small communities, other towns in Kansas, places like Nebraska, Missouri, the Carolinas, as far away as upstate New York. And always the request is, we want to have something like you did in Pittsburgh. So we'll take a few phone calls. Often I'll travel to meet with them. We'll talk about all the programmatic sorts of things, site selection, funding, construction schedules, all the things that are easy to sort of walk through, very important technical details. But then we get to the hard part of the conversation, which is, as much as I can help them and would be willing to help them with those things, really what it comes down to for the success of projects like we've had here is local leadership, particularly city leadership. And they always assure me that they have that leadership, and in some cases, they do have people locally who would be willing to invest in the projects. In some cases, they do have universities that would be willing to partner with them, but inevitably, time after time, what they lack is a level of leadership that we have at this city, and so the projects usually don't go anywhere. And that's why what's been accomplished in Pittsburgh over the last 10, 15 years is so unique. You know, my family moved here about 100 years ago. They've owned businesses, they worked for the railroad, they worked for other major employers like Miller's, the school district, the university. I went to high school and college here. My Uncle Tom Murray, who passed away a few years ago, was the executive director of the Pittsburgh Centennial Celebration in 1976. And so oftentimes when I'm talking to people or when someone's writing about the projects that I'm involved with, a lot is made of that. You know, it's sort of the local kid doing good for his hometown. And as proud as I am of my family's legacy, and as much as I appreciate the opportunity to do work that does benefit my hometown, it's not why I'm here. It's not why I've spent the last 10 years driving more than 300,000 miles back and forth between Springfield and Pittsburgh, missing an endless number of kids' activities. I'm here because of the people who are involved in this community, business people, people from the university, and at the top of that list, the people at the city. You know, when I came here 10 years ago and I discovered that there were people here with that level of leadership and that commitment to wanting to create a better place and doing the right things for the right reasons, that's what motivated me to want to be involved. And while the work that I've done is just a small part of what's been accomplished over the last 10, 15 years, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have been involved with those things if it wasn't for the staff of the city. So more than anything, as we begin celebrations for the 150th anniversary of Pittsburgh, I just wanted to be here tonight to recognize, thank the city staff, people like Darren and Jay and Kim and Matt and Dexter, for their work, their commitment, and their sort of relentless service to making this a better community. I also want to thank you for your service as commissioners. I know that each of you take your roles and responsibilities seriously. I know that oversight is important and the details that you're working through are important. And I just want to encourage you along the way to please continue to show the appropriate support to the staff of the city. It matters. The continued success of the community depends on that. So thank you for letting me be here and speak with you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Harriet Bachner. I live 611 North Freaking Highway. And it is my concerns about where I live that I want to speak to tonight. I've been living on Freaking Highway for 20 years. And Freaking Highway is a very dangerous road. There are lots of 18-wheelers that go up and down that highway. There are also school children. There's people like me who like to go for a walk. There's not even a shoulder. And in fact, one time last year, I fell. There's no shoulder. There's just a drop off, trying to avoid cars coming in either direction, and seriously sprained my ankle. There are children who ride bicycles. There are adults who ride bicycles on Freaking Highway. And I realize this would be an incredible expense to get a shoulder on that road, but it certainly might save some lives. So that is a concern that I've had for 20 years. You have to walk, along Freaking Highway for a while in order to get to an area where you can walk a little bit more freely and safely. So I also have an addendum that I wanted to add to Bert's concern. Since 2022, our state legislature passed a law banning sanctuary cities in Kansas, which means that local law enforcement can't interfere with ICE and they can't even shield people from ICE. One of the problems with this is that it erodes trust that people can have in their law enforcement. So even though we have that restriction about law enforcement doing anything to protect people from ICE, it is an issue. I read that Johnson County Sheriff's Office and Lenexa and Overland Park Police Departments have decided not to participate in any way in ICE because of their concern about eroding trust in their law enforcement officers. It is a warning that our attorney's office has sent out about the dangers of interfering with federal agents. So that's my addendum that I wanted to add to what Bert was saying, that there is that concern that people in our city may have altercations with ICE and without any kind of help from any other law enforcement agency. We know that ICE has now been in Manhattan, in Lawrence, in Olathe, and Lenexa. So what I have been listening to is that ICE is spreading out to smaller towns right now. So that's a concern. Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say that I have complete trust in our law enforcement in Pittsburg, Kansas, that's going to protect us. So I just wanted to add that to that. I know people hear things, read things, and, automatically think that's what our law enforcement is going to be about. I have no idea about that. Like I said, same thing Ben told Bert. If you have an issue on what our law enforcement response will be, you need to call the state and ask them and get that information. But for people to come up and say they lose trust or erode trust in our police officers because they might, whatever it is with ICE, that doesn't set well with me. They are a hard-working group of law enforcement officers, and whatever they do, I have complete trust in them.
I am not suggesting that trust has been eroded in our law enforcement officers. What I'm saying is what's been expressed in other agencies, that's been a concern. But I am not speaking directly about our law enforcement
Thank you.
here in Pittsburg, Kansas.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else would like to come and talk? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public input portion of the meeting and move to consent agenda. Are there any items you would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have items to remove. I would suggest that if city manager could just explain to the public the tax abatement process and what it does. I think some of the questions that have come to me repeatedly are, there's too many things on the consent agenda and they're not talked about in the meetings. There's several of them on here for this evening. So if you just give an overview of the process of renewing the tax abatements that are pre-existing, so people understand what that means.
Sure. So tax abatements are a tool that the city uses. It's not uncommon around the state. We have a variety of ways that we can offer a tax abatement to a property. One's through an industrial revenue bond, which involves a sales tax exemption for construction, and which also, depending on the size of the bond, will lead to a certain number of years of a certain percentage of tax abatement. There's other tax abatements as well. The ones that are on the list today come directly from the Economic Development Advisory Committee. These are multi-year. Each one of them is unique, and I don't know if it's 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years, or if they're in the first year or the 10th. Blake could probably tell you, but this is kind of a concept that people struggle with, in that there's a but-for policy for most of these. The idea is that if you don't offer this abatement, then that development won't happen in your community or in that specific area of town. And so in general, what happens is there's a cost-benefit analysis done by a third party. There's a lot of input at the Economic Development Advisory Committee around who the business is. Are they a legitimate business? Are they going to be able to maintain the business for the life of the abatement? One thing that we always hear about is so-and-so came to town, and as soon as their abatement was over, boom, they were gone. That's a loser for everybody except the company that left. So we try to avoid those at all costs, but I do think we're in a challenged market, whether it's retail or housing. We're always coming up with new ways to incentivize people to invest in Pittsburgh. As Mr. Burton said so eloquently, $800 million in the last 12, 15 years is significant for a town this size, but it doesn't come by just hanging out on the corner and saying, hey, what's up? You want to build something here? We're going to make it hard on you. We've tried to incentivize people to do that. We've done retail studies. That's how we got the Buffalo Wild Wings back in the day. We approached them and they said, hey, we're not going to build the Buffalo Wild Wings that big. And we said, well, how big of a one could you build? And they built a smaller one, and it's been here for 12 years. So every one is unique, but these are all very similar in that they have a tax abatement that was approved by the EDAC, recommended to the City Commission at one time, and all of them, I think it was Henry's advice about 7 or 8 years ago, that we take every one, even though it was abated for 10 years, each year back to the Commission so they can understand that it's still ongoing and answer questions about it. So I hope that answers your questions, and that's what's going on.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
If there's nothing to be removed, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is it been moved to approve? There's a second.
Second.
We've been moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Brooks.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
Littell.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Sigley.
Yes.
All right. Moving, consider the following. Item A, utility tractor purchase. Consider staff request to waive the formal bid process and to purchase a John Deere utility tractor from Heritage Tractor in Pittsburg, Kansas, in the amount of $25,400 after trade-in for use at the Atkinson Municipal Airport.
Hi, Mayor and City Commissioners. There's a few pieces of critical equipment at the airport, and this is one of them. This is a utility tractor that the staff over there uses to move the aircraft around, which happens on a regular basis all the time. This tractor is about 10 years old, and it's had a bad repair history. It's having some real issues. The cost to repair ends up being about, how much was it?
10 to 12.
About 10 to 12,000, and we just, the staff thought it was just prudent at this time to go ahead and purchase a new one. Let Bill talk a little bit about what's going on with that tractor.
The tractor that we had was a John Deere, and city mechanics looked at it and determined it was more than what they could do to repair it, so we sent it to John Deere. It's got a computer and wiring harness issue, so that's where the $10,000 to $12,000 repair will come in. But John Deere will take our tractor in on trade, and that's where what we're looking at doing is just trade a bad tractor in, and there is no cost for the work that they've done to it now, the old tractor. They'll just take it in on trade as is, and that's looking at purchasing the new one.
Thank you, Billy. I'd just like to add that that cost with the trade-in is, for the new tractor, would be $33,100.
I apologize, that was my fault, Chuck, that was the wrong number in the memo that I sent to you guys. The number is
It's $25,400.
25,000. I like that number better.
Yeah.
that's a better number.
Yes.
But it also represents John Deere's municipal discount.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
it does.
you
Yeah.
know.
The municipal government discount.
And the real key here is it's a repair shop. If anything goes wrong with it,
Sure.
there's no other tractor company around here that can do that kind of repair work that quickly.
That tractor is solely used for moving aircraft. It doesn't get used for anything else on site.
That's all we use it for is aircraft movement only.
So the report was showing it had 563 hours. Is that common for that many years, or is that low, or is that high? And the trade-in-
That tractor's used daily, but it doesn't run for hours at a time. It may only be used for 10 minutes. You know, we go out, we move an aircraft, we put it back in. So that's probably low hours for that, but it is used daily.
And the $7,700 for the trade-in value, that's
That's a
Middle
fair,
market value.
yeah, if you look at the 10 to 12,000 to repair it, that puts that tractor up, 18,000. And I looked in on some used tractors of that horsepower and size, and they're running that $18,000 to $20,000.
sounds like we're getting a good deal then.
Yeah.
Any other question for Jay or Billy?
Move to approve.
And a motion to approve by Jay, by Stu. Is there a second?
Cheryl seconded.
Yeah.
Cheryl, second. So in motion and approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for the job you did.
Thanks, Board. B, award of contract, engineering and project management services. Consider staff recommendation to award the engineering and project management contract for the East Fourth Street Restoration Project, CLIP, project number 019 KA 788901 to Own Inc. of Pittsburg, Kansas, based on the selection committee recommendation.
Mayor and Commissioners, so this is a KDOT project that has already been awarded to us, about $1.5 million. So far, the KDOT project, the way it's defined is all, so far, it's all their dollars, but part of the KDOT process is selecting of an engineering firm through an RFQ process, and then once that selection is done, they will submit their rates to KDOT. KDOT will verify their hours and rates. We'll come to an agreement. We will enter in that agreement after KDOT does their first wave of it. So, in this process, we solicited other engineering firms through the KDOT RFQ process. We had a selection committee of 5 of us, reviewed workloads, capabilities, all that, and at the conclusion of that, we were recommending Own Inc., which was formerly Anderson Engineering, who now has an office here in Pittsburgh, and recommending them to move forward with design of this project.
Who did you say they was before?
Anderson Engineering.
Have you dealt with them in the past?
Yeah, they've done quite a bit of work. Some of the stuff they're currently working on, the Metal Arc Trail project sidewalk uptown for us. They just did the parking lot at the middle school. They did Creekside development. They did, or Creekside Villas East development. They did the Highway 400 improvements related to the FedEx work. So they've done quite a bit of work in this area.
Any other questions?
It's just,
Go ahead.
it's just for engineering.
Just for engineering. Yep.
What happened with the road out there? It looks a lot like out by the hospital and what Rouse used to be. What happened at that time with?
So we've been in there we did a clean project back there 2015-ish. We've been in it a couple times. for the most part, underneath that roadway, in the specific section that we're gonna do between Canterbury and Victorian, the sub-base of asphalt inside of there kinda looks like cornbread. And it's carried in the last decade, it's carried a heck of a lot of traffic, through it between all the,
Big
going
trucks.
east to hit windmills, all the, rock quarries on the west side of town, so it's carried quite a bit, but we've done some repair back before we did the clink. It's just, it's, I don't know whether water passes through it, but a lot of that asphalt underneath the top surface layer has been oxidized and it just will fall apart in your hand. So, we've known about it for a while. We've tried to do the surface repairs and we kind of worked that through, but, we submitted that for KDOT project to do a full depth replacement of the asphalt. I don't think the sub base is necessarily bad, but the asphalt base underneath it is shot.
Is there a different grade of asphalt that you use on projects like this, or asphalt's asphalt?
It'll be the oil content mixture. That's what determines a lot of that makeup and then your aggregate size in that level.
Is there any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thanks, Matt. All right, item C, water treatment plant preliminary engineering report. Consider staff recommendation to enter into an agreement with Earl's Engineering and Inspection of Pittsburgh to conduct a water treatment plant preliminary engineering report.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is, we've been talking about this throughout last year, and maybe even before that. So originally, that plant was built in 1973. In 2007, they started a preliminary report for that and then facilitated the updates to the water treatment plant, which were completed in 2010-ish, 11. Went through there. We're now at the 15, 16-year point from that being done. I've noted the aeration tower issues before. We've done some pilot study review of the aeration or odor control. We've got the line pit that we've been working through, and just as we kind of dealt with all those issues, changes of equipment, we kind of realized, we're 5 years out from being 20 years removed from a project, and then you still have to facilitate construction. So we started working with Earl's to put together a proposal for a preliminary engineering report, and if you read through that report, you'll see all the items that are detailed and a breakdown of comprehensive goals, along with the financial obligation to those, to work through that report and start giving us some direction for equipment review. We may, when we talk about budget and everything like that, and I'll get into it in April, but we've seen a extreme increase in chemicals as we went through COVID. There's only a limited number, so it might be time to start looking at some different capital purchases of equipment that may not rely on chemical use moving forward. So it's just really an overall comprehensive review of where we're at, our systems, what we're capable of, where we need to be, and what this looks like for the future of our water treatment plant. In this regard, Pete put together his proposal, or Earl's Engineering put together a proposal. It's in line with what the PER cost was for the wastewater treatment plant. They are local. We have worked with other engineering firms in the past. In fact, when we did the wastewater treatment plant after Earl's had done the preliminary engineering report through an RFQ process, the same type of process for qualifications, we selected Earl's to do the design of the wastewater plant. And so we feel confident that Earl's ability to do their work, their local presence, their environmental cognizance of regulation, they're the right team to move forward with starting that design work, or not design work, but doing the engineering research for us to provide us direction in an engineering report moving forward. And I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
It's a substantial cost for an evaluation, essentially, and these things cost lots of money. As you know,
Right.
you're our SME on this. All these 5 different parts and stages of phase 1 are described in here very well, and I appreciate the detail. How many phases are we looking at moving forward from this report being generated to construction or to start of it?
So it's going to be, this is going to be a year process as we go through. It's a lot of conversation. The first part of facilitating any of this report is basically city staff has to provide them with some history, a lot of the data that we have to date, who we are, what we're doing, and they know some of that, so that'll expedite pretty quick. The next part of it is you know, there's some cost of budget of what we function with, what regulations may be coming down the pipe through KDHE. While we've been tested for PFOS and PFAS, that doesn't mean that we don't have to be cognizant of what that may look like in the future or anything else, as well as just, you know, some efficiencies in our operation, those type of things, and then different products and you know, what that looks like. We may change some level of process inside the facility, and we may not, but we have to evaluate that. Are there efficiencies we could find inside of that or not, and what does that look like? So, you know, really, that's the kickstart of that, and then it, you know, I mean, like the wastewater plant, we did a PER, and then, you know, it took us a couple years before we got to design phase. It took us a couple years to get through design, and then through construction. I mean, so you talk about we're literally almost 8 years into the wastewater plant from when we started the PER process and that. So when you start adding up those years, by the time we get to that point, we'll be ready for those upgrades and plant needs, looking at 20 years of just an upgrade to happen at that facility that was built in '73. So we'd like to best address what we can moving forward, and we want to get ahead of anything that's, you know, trending the wrong direction.
And the report says that once given approval and notice to proceed, it'll take a 6 to 9 month process to do that. Are you going to come back to the commission with the findings from this?
Oh, yeah, you know,
give us a back brief?
well, you weren't here, but in the preliminary engineering report, and actually Earl's did it twice, at least twice, of updating that. I mean, you get a nice big thick binder. It has studies, it has different scenarios, it has projections, it has history. I mean, it gives you, you'll know more about.
It also has options. I mean, you're gonna.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it has, yeah,
It'll
your
come with
variable options.
your recommendations on.
We've been looking at lime and
Yeah.
odor control as one-offs for like 6 years. So this is just a chance to kind of put it all in front of you guys and say, look, these are our options going forward for the next 25 years. How should we proceed? But we can't do it without the detailed report.
Are we looking at potentially in the future a different form of plant utilizing different types of possible? I saw Earl back there say possible, because the new thought is to try to use something other than lime and those chemicals if possible. And I think some people are already looking into it, and some communities have already done it.
I don't want to throw out some of the different things we kicked around, but we need to explore it in more detail. And, you know, there's going to be some chemical analysis of all that, and we talked to different vendors and applications, and obviously there's some level of, if we would choose to possibly look at that, is there retrofitting inside of our existing facility, not really adding on or expanding, but there's also some, you know, what are the needs of our raw water wells, potential, you know, VFDs to put on some more of those, as well as just capabilities for our distribution system out there. So it's all on the table in a report like this, and it's a lot of cussing and discussing and reviewing and presenting, and then you'll get a final packet of kind of some of our recommendations and, you know, scenarios for you guys to look at.
Like I say, the concept preliminary design of renovating the plant we have compared to building a new water plant. And you know, basically, we're the same as our wastewater plant. We're at the mercy of the regulations that KDHE puts on us, so.
Correct.
You know, it's probably hard to tell now, but if we renovate what we got now, how long is that good for? Would it be better, you know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking.
There's, you know, the plant itself, the structures out there are in pretty good shape, but there's some components within the plant that we use, and there's some equipment that we're starting to, I mean, we're 16 years and use them, and we use them hard every day, 24/7, 365. So if we're going to need to replace, upgrade, or modify, it's time to start talking about it.
What have we done in the last 5 years as far as, there's been other projects where you've done studies as far as the smell.
So
And-
we've done some, we worked on with Olson, we worked on putting together a pilot study for odor control, which involved, we kind of narrowed it down to a potential basin, and we needed to conduct a pilot study. For a various number of reasons, we didn't move forward with the pilot study. But we got to the point where we can conduct it, and we got KDHE's blessing. It took us a while to get through everything they asked to conduct a pilot study. We have that setting in our hand, and that could be a scenario, but we have that to date, and we know about that and what that would look like, less conducting the pilot study, but we kind of have a pretty good idea of how that would move forward. The line we're still working on, we're still waiting on a response back from KDHE, but the lime pits have been there since '73 and filling up, and we'll probably later this year come forward with another dredging project to move lime around the existing pit, and we're still waiting on some response about what our long-term will have to be with those pits for that lime discharge, and how we handle those pits, and then just that process. And that's probably the two biggest. Everything else that we've done has pretty much just been maintenance to existing equipment. We change out the filter media and the aeration every 3-ish years. And those towers are really, they're polycarbonate, and those towers are really you're structurally just starting to see some wear and tear on those as well, because we hammer on them to get the media out.
But for the time frame in '73, what was the life expectancy of the plant?
I think everything, it's you set it up, and I'd say 50 years is, you're pretty hopeful that you get that. I mean, probably, you start talking about structural concrete and those type of things, I don't think anyone really projects more than 20 to 30, because there's so many different environmental conditions that can affect that. But, I mean, we're talking about 50-plus years 50-ish years out of the structure itself, and that's why we were able to, in 2010, modify the existing facility. We added an additional clarifier out there, and some revised piping, electrical controls, the SCADA system, those type of things, and those are all still things that we will utilize and need moving forward.
Sure. And you've upgraded all along too. I know that if there's a bad leak in town, alarms go off out there that they know to look. If a tower drains faster than normal.
Typically what we see is when we see a pressure drop or a volume drop at the towers, we monitor it at the plant 24/7. There's someone always there, and so if it's a significant leak in the middle of the night or whatever, typically an operator, anything of any size, will pick it up. They'll pick it up. They'll pick up the glitch on the SCADA system to see the tower drop pressure and those type of things. And majority of the time, usually a police officer or somebody calls it in by the time, so we have a general location.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion
Thank you,
carries.
Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Item D, 616 North Broadway. Consider staff recommendation to donate the property located at 616 North Broadway to the land bank.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Just to clarify for everybody at home and anybody that doesn't know, 616 North Broadway is what was the home place. It's right next to the Blue Spoon there on Broadway, and it also used to be Ramsey's department store. So at the point that building became in such disrepair that we had to post it as unsafe, we were concerned about collapse, and it was a pretty scary situation. The current owner, or the owner at the time, wasn't able to repair or afford to take care of the building, so that individual offered to donate that building to the city of Pittsburgh, not the land bank, to the city of Pittsburgh. Commissioners, you voted to approve that donation on April 8th of 2025. We then went out to bid to begin stabilization of the building, so we wanted it to be safe. Obviously, that was the goal. And we also wanted to save one of our downtown historic buildings and not have a big hole in the downtown corridor there. So we went out to bid in May of 25. We had a contractor that started stabilization in June of '25. Unfortunately, during that process, the building had floors that collapsed, and the contractor was not able to finish work due to safety concerns, as we can all understand. We went back out to bid in October of '25. We did get a contractor hired to clean out the clutter and debris and stabilize. A lot of the floors, it's 3 stories, so a lot of the floors were very heavy with debris and clutter. With a damaged roof in 2 locations, the water damage was deteriorating the building very quickly. So we did get a contractor to take care of that and stabilize it. So the building is currently cleaned out and stabilized, but it does need a new roof before spring rains, or we're going to run into even more issues. So the Land Bank Board is aware of this, and they did vote at their January 28th meeting to approve and accept the donation, if you guys are willing to make that donation. The other thing to consider, the Land Bank Board does meet tomorrow, so we did go to bid for roof replacement. We'll be bringing that in front of you, and hopefully we can get that roof replaced. Currently, we have about $349,000 in the building with engineering costs, environmental testing, and stabilization. We have $210,000 committed from a private donor, which is wonderful to help out. So the city right now is at about $139,000 before the roof cost. We are estimating we'll probably be around $300,000, which is what we thought it would be, all said and done. And then the goal would be to, of course, sell the building and get it back into productive use and back on the tax rolls and hopefully revitalized in a downtown project, whether that be housing or commercial development or a little bit of both, mixed use. We just want to get it back. So I have registered the building with the Department of Commerce. They have a statewide vacant and underutilized building registration. It goes Kansas statewide to attract developers and investors, so we are putting it out there. The main thing I wanted to explain tonight is why would we donate from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank. So when that property came to us in disrepair, it also came to us with back taxes. It also came to us without being exempt. Just because the city of Pittsburgh owns it doesn't mean it's exempt. And the reason it can't be exempt right now is because we're not using it. It's not City Hall. We're not using it for offices. So there's no exemption reason. So by donating and by the land bank taking that donation from us, it allows it to wipe the back taxes clean. By statute, and land banks in Kansas are statutory authorized to exempt properties from property taxes. So what that does is if it takes us a year to develop it or it takes us a year to sell it or 2, we don't have to pay taxes on that building to sit empty. And then it also wipes the back taxes. The other bonus here is the Land Bank Board will, if anybody wants to buy that building, they will help vet those people and have a development plan, and they will have to vote. So it does help us to attract more attention when it's in our land bank. Our land bank is being looked at right now a lot with our housing development and partnership with our CHIP program. So by putting it in the land bank, it would actually benefit us to hopefully get it back on the tax rolls and into a developer's hands. So tonight, the requested action is for you to approve the donation of 616 North Broadway to the Pittsburgh Land Bank and have the mayor sign the deed. Questions?
How much back taxes is on it right now?
About $40,000.
And that's for us to pay?
Well, no. If it gets donated to the land bank, which they're willing to accept it, then those are wiped clean as part of a land bank.
And the city would be responsible to pay that $40,000 and any additional tax on that?
Correct. There's no exemption reason right now because we're not using it as a city property.
How far back does the taxes go?
We went back to 2021 of unpaid.
You're saying it's going to wipe out $40,000 worth of tax. It's not going to wipe out any of the amount of money we're putting in it to stabilize it and all that either, or is it?
No. So to wipe the back tax, it will make it exempt. Then we have $210,000 committed to that building if we saved it, not if we tore it down.
So explain that.
Sure.
So if we donate this to the land bank, how does that $210,000, does it go with the structure
Yeah.
in the contract?
It's committed to saving 616 North Broadway.
Okay.
Yep.
So that the land
It
bank-
was not committed to tearing it down.
Well, to make it simple, if somebody decided they want to build or utilize that building, build it, improve it, that money would go towards them.
Well, they would have to buy it, or that
Yeah,
money could go,
that's
yeah,
what I-
yeah. Yes.
So are you saying?
So it'll be paid back.
That every piece of property that goes into the land bank, if there's taxes against it, it's always wiped off?
By statute,
Does-
yes.
Okay, demolition too, if we've torn houses down on properties that end up in the land bank, does that happen also?
As an assessment,
Yes. It goes away? Really? So there's no consequences for past bad behavior on owning a building, and those taxes, it's kind of funny, it doesn't seem fair, but I understand what you're saying, but to the people who are actually paying their taxes, that seems, I'm real amazed about that it just goes away.
Well, I think Kim and the land bank do a good job of,
Oh,
just because
yeah,
it's not required, they also, when they pass the property on, if somebody wants to buy it, they take into account how much is owed on the demolition costs. We're not just eating the demolition every
No,
time. if
I
we
didn't mean
happen to-
that
Right,
building,
yeah.
I meant houses in general, when
No, I mean,
they're
that's
torn
for
down
houses.
in other land bank properties.
That
Yeah,
applies
and-
to all land bank.
and those
Okay.
individuals have to donate it as well, so they're losing, they can't go sell it themselves, they would be donating it to, and most of them donate because it helps clear some of that, so.
Well, that's the
Then they're out
aggravating
of it.
part. People that had the business, that let it get in disrepair, then they donate to the city. We are responsible for the back taxes and any other taxes going forward, unless we put it in the land bank. How do we keep that? Because there's probably some other buildings in town that might be reaching that state. How do we keep from owning all these businesses when somebody just wants to
Well,
donate?
the first thing we do is not buy them all. But the reason we bought this one is because when it falls over, the taxpayers are going to be paying the $750,000 to clean it up, and there's nobody to bill.
Wouldn't that be the same if somebody else is building? We'd still clean that up?
Not if they had insurance on it. I mean, Medill's has got holes in the roof, but those guys, they own it. I mean, if it falls over, it's on the owners. This building, the owner was very clear that there was no way anybody was ever going to be able to come to her and say, hey, we had to clean up half a block of the city. It's $750,000. We're coming after you. And she's like, I don't have a dime. So we don't prefer to come to you and say, hey, let's buy a building and bail somebody out. But you're making a great point. It's like, if we don't have an ordinance against vacant structures or dilapidated structures, we're kind of setting ourselves up for this. And we've talked to Kim's team repeatedly about putting that on your agenda this year, talking about, do we want to do something like that? But it's not really something we
And
get
you
into
don't, you
today.
don't have to take it.
No, it was a choice we made. It was,
So what would happen if that did collapse and damage to the buildings on both sides?
now,
Yeah, I mean,
it's insured. We own it.
but I mean, if it wasn't, if that building collapsed and you're talking about taxpayers having to clean that up, I think the buildings is, maybe it would damage the buildings on both sides. That's, I guess, people have insurance
That was a
for
big driver in
Yeah.
not just watching it fall over and see what did happen.
Obviously, public safety, but also saving the building, but protecting the buildings and the businesses on each side of that building. I mean, the whole city block would have been impacted if we had
Yeah.
a catastrophe.
Wouldn't a
So
developer be able to use historic tax credits possibly?
there's options, there's funding stacks, there's grants.
Yeah, keeping
It
it-
depends on what the end use is,
Well,
if they want
I
to
talked to you
do.
about that too, Kim.
Yeah.
That's the part these developers
So what if? most-
develop, but they want to use everybody else's money to help develop it through these grants, and they're all taxpayers' money that they're getting. That's the rub I have, but somebody's gonna develop it.
Well, a lot of the CDBG or moderate income housing or any of those grants are not taxpayer dollars. I mean,
No.
those are grant funds
just
for
grant funds.
development,
I mean-
You have
mostly state or federal.
RHID second floor and up too.
Do
That's a
what?
three-story
Yeah,
building.
so you can use the reinvestment housing incentive district, second story and above. So any HVAC, plumbing, electrical, any kind of development that goes in the second story and third can be a reinvestment housing.
I mean, while it's aggravating, the state created a land bank so we don't have vacant properties all over the state of Kansas that people have done just what you're describing. And so it's been a good tool. It's a tool that helps us here because part of the taxes that are owed to us, but we're the responsible party to pay them. So it's kind of administratively just a wash.
When you,
This makes for a good conversation with every property owner in downtown, in the district, to start communicating the structure and what they look like, so we don't run into this again.
Yeah, we don't want to do it again.
when you talked about the roof in the rainy season and everything, it's almost the end of February, so how soon is that on the burner?
It would have to probably be awarded, I would say we'd award the bid of March 10th meeting for your approval. So we would have to get started as soon as possible. A lot of the people that bid on it could do it in 20, 30, 60 days, so
But
do
remember,
it as quick as we can.
a really good a good point is that it was completely full of junk. So when it rained, all the junk got wet and ripped down the rest of it. Now it's completely empty. So the rain's going to come into the concrete floor three floors below, but we still don't want it to happen. But it won't be the negative thing that it was this last spring when it just got real heavy and wet and just fell.
So that's the last piece, the roof, and the rest of it, it's stable, it's got a roof on it.
For sale.
Somebody's gonna buy it, hopefully.
Sure hope so.
Kim's going to buy it.
I didn't say that. But we're going to find somebody. But it would be a pretty incredible project, and it's a pretty special building, so she just needs a little love. But
Move to approve. Or did you have more? I'm sorry.
I just wondered, are there very many vacant lots on Broadway that are in the land bank, or just that one only? Or the
there
building?
used to be, but if you guys have noticed the development right there next to Happy Nails, right there, where we have that big space in between Crawford County Mental Health and that, those were actually 2 vacant land bank lots. A lot of times when a building is demolished and it's an empty lot, it may end up in the land bank, and that's what we were trying to avoid. We don't have a lot of structures, homes, or buildings in the land bank right now. So, really. So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the CHIP
we
program,
can
right?
rebuild. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
Stu
Kim.
made a motion
You
to
bet, thank you.
approve, is there a second? Doc seconded?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Kim. All right, are there any non-agenda reports and requests?
I'm not the best one to do it because I don't really know the details, but I understand 2 officers were killed in the line of duty recently. Maybe Stu has some details, but I think we ought to take a moment of silence out of respect for.
Where at?
I don't have a lot of details, but I'm not even sure the county, but I know that the suspect killed a deputy last night, and then in the process of the manhunt, another officer was killed, so, today, so.
In
but-
Kansas?
No, in Missouri.
Oh, Missouri.
Yeah, it's outside of Kansas City.
So let's take a moment of silence in remembrance of those officers. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. That's all I had.
All right. An executive session. An executive session is necessary to discuss the personal matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss the city manager's letter of agreement. A motion to recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss the city manager's letter of agreement pursuant to the non-elected personnel exemption under KSA 75-4319B1, with the meeting to resume in the commission room in 30 minutes. Is there a motion to recess?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion, a second to recess for 30 minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We are in recess for 30 minutes. recess an executive session. We need an additional, no decisions were made, no votes were cast. But we need an additional 30 minutes for an executive session is necessary to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss the city manager's letter agreement and goals for the 2020, and goals? And goals. So is there a motion to recess for 30 minutes?
Make a motion.
One second.
Right. So we'll recess for 30 minutes.
We gotta vote.
All those
Oh,
in
yeah, is
favor?
there, motion and second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Recess into executive sessions, no decisions were made, no votes were cast. We're going to ask for an additional 10 minutes for an executive session. This is necessary to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss city manager's letter agreement and goals. A motion is to recess into executive session for 10 minutes? 15 minutes to discuss the city manager's letter agreement and goals pursuant to the non-elected personnel exemption under KSA 75-4319B1 with a meeting to resume in the commission room in 15 minutes. Is there a motion to approve the recess?
So approved, so moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. We are in recess. We're back from executive session. No decisions were made, no votes were cast. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.